Dave Kitson is an ex-professional Premier League footballer and the author of best-selling book, The Secret Footballer.
On this episode of the Future Workplace podcast, Chris and Dave discuss the trials and tribulations behind professional football and the controversy behind being the secret footballer.
Take me into your eyes. What did this look like from your point of view?
I had to man mark Scholes, Modric, and Xabi Alonso. This is how ridiculous football can be at times. There are things in this industry that I'm witnessing that are wrong.
Right.
They are just wrong.
They are still the highest point scoring club in the championship. 106
So
points.
106 points.
And you were the top goal scorer.
There hadn't been a footballer who had ever talked about this
Right.
stuff. It went viral, as they say now.
Would it be fair to say that the environment in Stoke versus Reading are polar opposites?
I remember on one of my first days, I took a bag of balls out to do some shooting, and one of the coaches came running out. "What are you doing?" "I'm just doing a bit of shooting." No, you don't do that here.
What advice would you give people who are in that institutionalized environment?
I'm just calling it The Secret Footballer for the minute. Can you have a read of it? And he went, "Who have you shown this to?" Nobody. I suddenly found myself in the Guardian HQ, and they were like, "Look, we want to back this." They were like, "Are you sure you want to do this?
Yeah.
Because if you do it and you're exposed on day one, you're done."
Welcome to the Future Workplace podcast. Now, the idea behind the podcast is to talk about what the future workplace looks like, and that can form many different conversations, from infrastructure through to working from home policy, through to people's actual future workplace. And by that, what I mean is a transition from things like the military background or from professional athletics background or an athlete background. What is the transition like going from that athletic, high performance environment into Civvy Street? And that is the exact conversation we're going to be having today with today's guest. Now, today's guest, I am buzzing to have on this show. This is a guest who is a award-winning author, super popular in that space, but did it all under a complete cloud, complete secret, and whistle blew on the industry that we're going to talk about. That industry is football, professional footballer, Premier League star, and all-round good guy. I've had a number of really good conversations with him. It is the secret footballer himself, Dave Kitson. Hello, mate.
How are you, mate? All right.
Dave.
Quite the build-up.
Well, do you know what? I was thinking there, where am I going with this? I've got to try and get to the fact
I didn't recognise who you were talking about.
I've got to try and get to the fact that I'm actually having a podcast with Dave Kitson. Welcome to the podcast. Local, now that you're at Maidenhead, and like I say, delighted to have you here. We're going to talk a lot about, well, I want to talk about the secret footballer, but we're going to get into that in a minute. I want to talk about the transition from professional athlete to Civvy Street and kind of what that looks like. But I think for the listeners, for the viewers who don't know who you are, who are you? Talk me through it.
Nobody very important. I mean, I just happened to be a kid off a council estate who played football with all the other kids, and somehow ended up in the Premier League. You know, it wasn't ever my intention. I wanted to be a travel writer. That was my that was my thing. I wanted to be a travel. I still want to be a travel writer.
Right.
That's still one day. I keep thinking one day it's going to happen.
When I grow up.
Yeah,
I'm going to be a traveller.
Yeah. That's still something that I really want to do. So writing's always been in me anyway.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a street that was a North London overspill. All the kids played football. You were Arsenal or Tottenham.
Yeah.
We were Tottenham.
We won't go there.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's just how we sort of that's how we lived our lives. You know, all the days were always sunny.
Yeah.
They always went on for 30 hours. And we just played football until your mum called you for dinner. Same as anybody else, really.
Yeah.
And I sort of had two what I call lucky breaks for me, but for different reasons. One of, I played in kids teams and school and county and that kind of stuff. And then I played for a pub team called the Arena Tavern. So there's a pub in Letchworth, which is where I'm from, called the Arena Tavern. And so we played there. And there was a couple of local lads, Liam Paul, still my best mates, who just said, look, you can you're not bad.
You're all right.
Yeah, you're okay. We go to this local club called Olsey Town.
Right.
Dad sits on the board and that, and sort of a step 5 club. They're having trials. Why don't you come down? So I ended up playing for them.
How old were you then?
I was 20, probably 19, maybe.
So you're late.
Late, yeah. So and then the first lucky break for me was so I would play on the left wing, left wing back, because I could use my left foot, and I just told them I was left-footed because I knew I would play.
Gotcha.
But I'm not left-footed. Right. But I ended up playing my career left-footed.
That's hilarious.
Everyone just sold me as a left-footed.
Robbie Fowler do that as well?
I don't know. I know Maldini did that, but I'm not in the same bracket.
I mean, come on,
either of those two.
Maldini, Christ,
but it's not. I mean, it is uncommon, but it's not unheard of. So yeah, in a pre-season game, we were playing Stevenage Borough, which was the big local team to us, and our striker broke his leg in that game.
Right,
and they threw me up front. So that was the first lucky break for me.
Literally a break.
The second one was when Aaron Ramsey broke his leg at Stoke. We were playing Arsenal.
Right.
This is probably about 6 or 7 years later, and he broke his leg, or as it's been pointed out to me, had his leg broken. Arsenal fans get very upset if you don't say it that way round.
Right.
But his leg was broken, and that was when I decided I didn't really want to play anymore. So those were the two sort of lucky, those were the two breaks.
Do you know what's really funny? I mean, obviously, I'm from the military background, and it's not professional athlete, but it's very structured. But it's God's honest true story. I always say the two best things I ever did were to join and to leave. Yeah. So I mean, you don't get the choice to join. You got your talent got spotted and stuff. But God's honest truth, I always say the two best things I ever did were to join and to leave. Yeah. That's interesting. How old were you when you decided that was enough?
So when I kicked my first professional ball at 21, which is late. Yeah, that's very late. Although we might come on to that in a bit, because I actually think 21 to 23 is where it's heading to now.
Okay, interesting.
But I was 33 when I finished, which is quite
12
young.
years.
Yeah,
11 years,
I was done. I was just done with it.
The leg break. The leg break was the thing. That's interesting. So even at 19, that you've gone for these trials, you played Stevenage, your striker breaks his leg, he bangs you up front. What, did you get spotted in that game? Is that how it worked?
No, I just went up because I had a little bit of a knack of scoring.
Right.
From out on the left wing.
Right.
And I think the fact they thought I was left-footed made them. There weren't any left-footed strikers around. So it was that made them kind
hilarious.
Yeah, I know it is.
I love it.
This is how ridiculous football can be at times. And they threw me up front. I didn't score in that game. Started the season. I was lucky because we had a really, really good team, like one of the best non-league teams at that level in the country. Very, very good team. And I just started scoring, and it was a steep learning curve because I was the young, and we had quite a few players who had some experience. They'd either gone through an academy at Spurs or Arsenal or something like that, West Ham, or had played at maybe Leyton Orient for a few years. So they had a bit more of a grounding, and they were a bit more streetwise than me. And I learned a lot from them very quickly. They kicked me up in the air and spoke to me like shit. And but of course now we're all on a group chat like everybody else on WhatsApp, and we're all mates again. So
how are you, mate? Remember that time I booted you up?
Exactly. Yeah. They think I've forgotten.
They'll come back round at some point. 19 years old, like that's late, right? We were just talking about Max Dowman a few minutes ago. 15 or 16, I think he is now. Playing the Premier League. Like, there's a lot to be said about. I mean, the talent is ridiculous for the kid. Were you good as a kid? Or were you just, like you said, 30-hour days and sunlight? But did you know that you were good?
I think, but because I started playing in kids' teams at under sevens, and we had a lad called Carl Duguid who went on and captained Colchester for about 10 years, and you could tell this guy's really good. He was a year up from me, and he lived in the same street. So I had a benchmark straight away.
Gotcha.
As long as I'm close to that, I'll sort of be all right.
I've got a chance.
Yeah, and I just tried to stay as close to him because you knew he was good. Everyone knew he was.
Isn't
good.
that funny though as well? I mean, I'm bouncing around. There's more the fan coming out now than rather than the podcast host. But he never played in the Premier League, and yet when you were kids, you went. He was light years. You know, he was light years.
Yeah.
You could see that he was good. You could see that he was make it. But you know, is that a lucky break? Is that just what is that?
I don't know. I mean, if you play for Colchester for 10 years and you win a few promotions, I watched him play at Wembley.
Right.
I think he played there 2-3 times.
Yeah.
Different competitions. Captain, he's a legend. There's not many people who get to do that.
No,
I don't think, and and this is a big thing for me. You do not have to play. I was having this conversation yesterday with somebody.
Yeah.
You don't have to play in the Premier League to be a footballer. I know it sounds obvious, but we forget it.
Yeah.
Playing in the Premier League is apparently this pinnacle,
Right.
but is it really?
Yeah.
I mean, where it depends where you find your enjoyment in the game.
Right.
So I played against a lot of players who they enjoy being down at this level. And the other thing as well is playing at Reading and Stoke. You're not going to win the Premier League.
Right.
It's not going to happen.
Yeah.
Right. I played with and against and know a lot of guys who played for 15 years. Leagues 1, League 2, and have half a dozen promotions,
Yeah.
winning leagues.
Wembley.
Yeah, playing at Wembley. I never played at Wembley.
Did you not?
No. Playing at Wembley, winning leagues. They're legends at these clubs. And the truest thing that anyone ever said to me about football, it was a fellow who came and gave a talk to us when I was at Cambridge.
Yeah.
In my first year. And Cambridge at that time was, financially very squeaky.
Right.
And he came in and said, look, I just don't want any of you to forget that just because there aren't 70,000 people in the stands, that this as a football club is any less important than that one up there.
Yeah.
Because it isn't. It is exactly. You're not more important, but you are exactly the same. And I've never forgotten that. And it's totally true. And whether it's Maidenhead here, where we are now, on the road, and or the clubs that I played for, or the biggest clubs in the world, you are no more important than the next club down the road.
Yeah, which is true. And I want to come back to that theme as we continue to have a conversation, because I think that's important to articulate to young people when we're specifically given the fact that we're talking about the future workplace and what their future workplace might be. And we're talking about a number of leagues, not just the Premier League. But I want to come back to that in a moment. I want to touch on the rest of the career, really. So, late spotted, Cambridge, Reading, taught me through that championship season. So they are still, to this day, the highest point scoring club in the championship. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah.
106 points.
106 points.
And you were the top goal scorer in that season. You've written books on high performing teams, which again, we're going to come into in a minute. What was it about that season? What made it click? What was the magic sauce?
I've had conversations with the people who were around it in the background, building it.
Yeah.
The common theme tends to be that it was a sort of a Moneyball approach before Moneyball, or before. I mean, Moneyball existed obviously in baseball at the time, but it hadn't come to the UK yet, and it was a precursor to that. And the raw data, if you like, that we harvested was go and find me young, hungry players from the leagues below and underpay them relative to what everybody else is getting. That whole squad cost just over £3 million.
Right.
Now, that's in an era where there's strikers going on their own for £3 million.
Of course, yeah.
Right? So I think if you look at our strike force, Leroy Lita was £1 million. I was 150 grand. Kevin Doyle was 70 grand, and Shane Long was 10 grand.
Crazy.
As a strike force, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. I remember Shane Long.
Yeah.
Crazy.
And I was sold for 5.5. Kev was sold for 6.5. Longy was sold for 7.5.
Yeah.
So, and this is the tragedy of Reading in the fact that we know that works at Reading.
Yeah.
It's that kind of club.
Yeah.
But then we had a succession of owners later who came in and said, well, I'm going to spend money on names and I'm going to pay these inflated wages. And you get what you get, right?
course,
You get what you end up with, which is back in League One with 18 points taken from.
Was this when Medeski had he sold at that point?
So he'd gone, yeah. So it went to the Russians, then Thais, and then Chinese ownership. And now it's with the Americans, Rob Kuig. And thankfully, it's hopefully we'll come back to something like its old self.
Well, fingers crossed.
Yeah. But that season, I mean, that really was the key to it. And not everybody, but the vast majority were of a certain age.
Right.
They all wanted to go that way.
Yeah.
Very few of them had kids.
Right.
Very few of them. So they were concentrated fully on the football.
Yeah.
And they were. There wasn't much messing around off the pitch.
Right.
And that worked for us. But that was the right club.
Right. Gotcha.
That was the right club to do that. That's what works at Reading. And emphasised by the fact that after we did it, in 2011, they did exactly the same thing again.
Did they really?
Brought in those young, hungry players, and put a sprinkling of academy talent around it, a couple of older heads, and did exactly the same thing again.
Gotcha.
So we know that works, and hopefully, I'm seeing the green shoots of it now as something coming back to what it should be, which is that model. But that's it. It's not really too much than that. Tactically, Steve Coppell was obviously he was a winger in his playing career, but extremely good winger, and his philosophy was we all defend together, and we'll all try and attack together. And the way we're going to attack is it's going to go forward and wide. I hear him saying it now. Forward and wide, and the ball's going to get crossed into the box.
I love it.
And it is as simple as that.
I love the simplicity of it.
Yeah.
And again, before we start recording, we were talking about modern day football and XG and VAR, and you were talking about, Saka being there and he's going to go there. It's much more, I was saying to you earlier, before we start recording, I find football quite boring at the moment. Certainly at the top level, Premier League level, I find it quite boring. Champions League, I'm quite enjoying. But I quite enjoy going and watching Maidenhead.
Yeah.
So for me, that Coppell comment to you feels a little bit more like what real football is. Get the ball up there.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong. We worked hard on set pieces.
Yeah.
We worked really hard to create a culture of keeping the ball out of our net. There's enjoyment to be had in that.
Yeah.
Finding the enjoyment in the personal pride of stopping that team from getting anywhere near your goal.
Yeah.
You can find just as much enjoyment as going toe-to-toe and scoring. I did anyway, certainly I did. I was a sort of a defensive striker. I used to love the tackling side of it and stopping players and trying to mess things up for the other team. I quite enjoyed that.
Yeah, I love it.
And we had that amongst us. So, but it's what that breeds, what the intangibles, if you like, or the things that people can't see are, okay, so you've created this very simple style of football. But what you can't put a metric against how much the lads are enjoying it, unless you're in it.
Yeah, that's true.
Okay, so I can tell you, yes, it's a simple way of playing, but it's really, really enjoyable.
Yeah.
You cannot tell me that watching the Carabao Cup on Sunday is enjoyable for any player on that pitch.
Yeah.
Because it isn't.
Yeah.
It's not enjoyable to watch. It's not enjoyable to be in.
And there's no that like Gascoigne, who would just get the ball, take on three players, break the lines. You don't get that.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
No. But this is the constant tension between, as I was saying, we were talking off air, earlier. Well, this is the constant tension between football people, right? For the people who have been in football, played kids football, been footballers, understand it and love it.
Yeah.
And it's in their heart and in their heads, and the data people. And obviously, there's a place for data in the game. But it's a balancing act. And at the minute, it's skewed towards data. And this is the result. And it ain't great. Frankly. It's we need to get that balance back where we're using data, not for absolutely everything that we do, but for the right things.
Gotcha.
Because frankly, I miss Man City without Kevin De Bruyne.
Yeah.
So
I don't.
Yeah,
I'm a Liverpool fan.
Yeah. But you will you will miss the Mo Salah of
Yeah.
3-4 seasons ago once he's gone, and and whatever else comes in is you can see players where they are rooted to the spot. They're trying to get from that square on the pitch to that square on the pitch, and that's their job. And you see it, and the ball goes to him, and you think, oh, there he is again,
just stand
exactly
here.
the same
I'll
spot. I
stand
wonder
here.
where he's going to go. Oh, he's going exactly the same place. And it's tedious, actually. A lot of it.
No, I agree. I want to try and finish the football chapter, but we need to finish with kind of the progression. Premier League, Reading, played a season there. 8th place finish, again to this day, highest finish that Reading have ever had. High performing team, right? You then move on to Stoke. And would it be fair to say that the environment in Stoke versus Reading are polar opposites? And what was that like for you, given the fact that you've just come from this really high-performing environment where, as you mentioned, people loved it? What was it like? What was that transition like? There's the first transition, right? What was that?
Yeah, so the Reading culture was, from Steve, was, I trust you.
Yeah.
I trust you to go out there. Yeah, we'll make some mistakes, but I trust you to go out there. You're all good players. And here's a framework. And I want you to lay down the things that you do really well individually over the top of this framework.
Gotcha.
That's like music to your ears.
Yeah. Stay within these brackets, but crack on.
Yeah. Here's a framework of play, and that's how we defend. That's how we attack. This is how we carry ourselves as a club and a group of players. But you're really good at this, and I want to see it. And you're really good at that, and I want to see it. And I trust you. And if you get it wrong, don't worry, get it again and try it again.
Yeah.
That's great. That's great to have that level of trust. Stoke was different in the fact that the culture was, if you make a mistake, you're going to be punished.
Right.
You might be dropped out of the squad. Some instances, players made a mistake, never play for us again.
Right.
And that was that's not the culture that I was used to. You know? And you could say maybe I was a bit ingrained in one way, but when you find something you really enjoy, you crave it. You want to hold on to that. So it created this constant kind of underlying tension in the team that I just found, it just made you anxious.
Yeah, don't fuck it up.
Yeah,
this is going to be bad.
It just made me anxious. Some players could handle that. A guy like Rob Huth,
Right.
could say anything to Huth, you'll always get the same reply.
Right.
He's just that guy.
Yeah.
Right. He can play for any type of manager privately. He'll say what he's going to say, but it's all right, no problem.
Yeah.
I'll do that.
Yeah.
Whereas for me, I couldn't. I would be a bit more. I don't really want to do that.
Gotcha.
You know, not to be difficult, but just.
You could see what your talent, what brings the best out of you.
Well, there's that, which is a good point. I don't think I'm suited to this.
Yeah.
So playing in midfield and stopping the opposition. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's fine. Like I say, you can find enjoyment in that, but you need the other bit. And we didn't have the other bit.
Yeah, because you've got me in midfield.
Yeah. We didn't have the other bit.
Yeah.
You know, so I found that difficult. I found that really, really difficult to deal with. You know, the training I thought was awful.
Right.
I remember on one of my first days, I took a bag of balls out to do some shooting, and one of the coaches came running out. What are you doing? I'm just doing a bit of shoot. No, you don't do that here.
What?
Yeah.
What's the point of the game?
Yeah. So I had to traipse back in with this bag of balls, and it was just bizarre. It was a very, very bizarre culture. But it worked for them for a few years. But the thing with culture is this is the point, right? Any manager can have a level of success. Stoke had a level of success relative to what it had at its disposal, right? So it wasn't chasing Premier League titles.
Yeah.
So it had that level of success relative to what it had to work with. But the moment you start swapping managers out and coaches out and players out, it's all built on sand.
Of course it is.
It's the same as Man United.
Yeah.
If you look at somewhere like Liverpool, you could take the manager out, all right? You could take the coaches out. You could take the players out. You could even take out the owners and swap them. The culture of that club won't change.
Yeah.
That club has been in the top flight since 1962.
Yeah.
It has never finished below 8th. That's a culture.
Yeah.
That's a culture.
Yeah.
You know, that's, you lay that framework out, and it doesn't matter who comes in, they put their ideas over the top of it.
Yeah.
But once they leave, the framework's still there.
Which is the same as your couple comment, right?
Yeah.
So there's my framework,
Yeah.
but crack on and do what you need to do.
Exactly. Yeah, it works on all levels. It works from the highest level of owning a football club and
Yeah.
how you carry yourselves, what you stand for, and what you're going to do, right down to the playing level.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of crossover to what you do now. And again, we're going to come back to that in a few minutes. But those sorts of lessons for senior leaders and businesses, and you know, around that culture and building a high performance culture, are massively relevant in our world, right? But again, I want to come back to that with some of the other work that you do. Hey, I hope you enjoyed the podcast so far. I'm just going to take a quick 30 seconds of your time to explain to you one of the biggest problems that people have when it comes to fitting out their new office space. And that problem is they get AV in too late. When you get AV in too late, what happens is they treat it as an afterthought. They treat it as a bolt-on. It's a few screens on a wall. Let's just put some screens on and make it work. Massive, massive, massive mistake. And we see it day in, day out, where people treat AV as an afterthought. To try and avoid that mistake, you need to bring AV in, the design of AV in really early as you possibly can. Now, to try and help you with that, we've put together what we called an AV bundle. It's a bundle. The link is in the description below, and it gives you the ability to configure your own AV meeting rooms so you know what solution you're putting in the rooms. It gives you a risk map for the project so you know when to bring AV in, and it gives you a budget calculator so that you can budget AV in early as opposed to later when you realize that AV, frankly, isn't as cheap as what everybody thinks. So grab the bundle below, get AV in as early as you possibly can, and avoid the mistakes that lots of our clients actually do when it comes to refitting their offices. You've authored a number of books, right? We spoke a little bit over a coffee, didn't we, the other day? And your co-author and psychologist, and there's a gentleman that you met that had a massive impact on you. I think first, give me the seed. What was the seed for you? Travel writing was your ambition, right?
Yeah.
So you're always into it. But what was the seed for you to go, right, I'm actually going to start whistleblowing, maybe? Is that the word? I don't know if that's the word, but I'm actually going to start writing some stories about this industry.
Yeah.
And how did that couple up with your introduction to your psychologist as well?
Yeah. So, I mean, I understand why people might call it whistleblower. I never thought of it in that way.
Yeah.
I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah.
So I wasn't.
You weren't outing anyone, you know.
There was no one was being outed.
Yeah.
There was nothing. No one saying, "Oh, he's doing this and that." There was none of that. It was how does the industry really work?
Yeah.
So that's not that. That's something else.
Gotcha.
So because the context at the time is, you have to remember there's no podcasts. There's none of this.
Yeah.
There's maybe a bit of Twitter. There's no Snapchat, no TikTok, there's none of that stuff. All right. So
what a great time.
Yeah, it was. It was. Yeah. So the written word was still, if a footballer wanted to say something a little bit more than 140 characters,
Yeah.
still wrote books.
Yeah.
Maybe do a podcast
Yeah,
series
yeah.
or something. And obviously, I love the written word. That's what I wanted. I wanted to be a travel writer, and playing football, I always felt there was something like I was supposed to. I had always had this feeling I was supposed to be doing something else.
That's mad.
And maybe when people watch me on the pitch, they probably thought that's
He should be doing something else.
What the hell's he doing?
What's he doing? That is mental. Yeah.
So I always had that, like, the way I liken it to, and I've sat down with a lot of shrinks over the years, and one of them is like, it's like, when you're leaving the house and you get in the car and you're like, I'm sure I've forgotten something.
Right.
It's that feeling.
Really?
It is that feeling.
You just needed to scratch the itch.
Yeah. And I was
Gotcha.
like, what is it? At that time, so the truth is, no one gives a shit what Dave Kitson has to say, right?
Yeah.
No one cares.
Yeah.
Right. So how are you going to get anyone's attention if you have something to say, right? How do you get anyone's attention?
Right.
And so at that time, I just read a book called Ball 4 by Jim Bouton, which was a book that exposed the way baseball really worked.
Gotcha.
Yankees. And the Yankees actually took a whole bunch of copies of his books and put them on the mound and burnt them in front of all the.
Really?
That was great. I'd love that if someone did that.
Someone's taking my book.
I'd
and
love
probably-
that if someone put them on the halfway line.
I love
That
it.
would be fantastic.
I love it.
So I just read that book, which was brilliant. As if anyone's
I'll-
looking for a sports
I'm an
book,
avid
that
reader.
is
I'll have a look.
right up. It's one of the best ever.
Yeah.
And you had Banksy was just, no one really quite knew who that was. This stuff was appearing. So it's essentially a secret artist.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I was reading in the FT at the weekend.
Yeah.
When it turns from a financial newspaper to a
one.
weekend newspaper.
Yeah.
There was a column in there called The Secret Agent. And The Secret Agent was a high-end estate agent selling £10 million mansions in
Gotcha.
Mayfair. And he was talking about how that industry works. And it was brilliant. It was
That's
so
great.
good.
Yeah. Well, you can say things that you wouldn't ordinarily say
Yeah.
under your name, right?
Yeah, no, exactly. And then there was another book that I'd read called City Boy. Everyone knows the book
Yeah.
City Boy,
Yeah, yeah,
the broker in the city
Yeah.
who exposed it all,
Yeah.
what was
There's
going on.
now The Secret Barrister. There's that one that's out as
Yeah.
well. So
at that time,
he
there
came
was
after you, to be fair.
there was this kind of a Bourdain's book. So my hero, God, I nearly forgot, Anthony Bourdain, who'd written Kitchen Confidential. Now, he'd written it in his own name, but Kitchen Confidential is like my Bible.
Really?
Just brilliant.
Really?
Just stunning. And he's a hero. And I always wanted his lifestyle, to be honest with you. So there was all of this, everything was pointing like that way.
Yeah.
And I just thought, what would the footballer version be of this? And I started to sketch out a few things. And I called a journalist called Stuart James, who works at The Guardian, who had interviewed me probably a year earlier. And I'd given him a load of stuff where I thought, I probably shouldn't have said that.
Oh, really?
And he hadn't stitched me up.
Oh, good lad.
So I kept in contact with him.
Good lad.
And I rang him. I said, mate, listen, I've got this thing, right? I don't really know what it is, but I'm just calling it The Secret Footballer for the minute. Can you have a read of it? And he said, yeah, ping it over. So I pinged it over and the phone went about 4 seconds later. And he went, who have you shown this to? Nobody. Right, don't do anything. I'll call the office.
Yeah.
And then the next week I suddenly found myself in the Guardian HQ, that big white elephant of a building over in King's Cross. And sat down with Paul Johnson, the deputy editor, and Ian Pryor, who was the sports editor, and they were like, look, we want to back this. And they were great. They were like, are you sure you want to do this? Because if you do it and you're exposed on day one, you're done. You are done.
You're opening that hatch now, aren't you?
And we sat down, we had a really good conversation about it. And I just said, look, it's something I need to do. There are things in this industry that I'm witnessing that are wrong.
Right.
They are just wrong, right? There is the mental health epidemic. I'm telling you, it's going to come to a head. It is the bullying, the racism, the all of this stuff. It is just, we've got to do something about it, and it just needs. I don't want to name names.
Yeah,
I remember saying it quite clearly. I'm not naming names. I'm just going to say, this is how football really works. This is a side of it you haven't seen. You make your mind up, which is a tremendous cop out.
Yeah.
It's a tremendous cop out.
Well, you've got a career and a contract and your mortgage is being paid and all of this kind of stuff.
But then again, Jim Bouton sacrificed himself for the greater good of baseball, right? So for me, it is a massive cop out.
Yeah.
And that accusation has been leveled at me since I outed myself. And it's a criticism which is wholly justified.
Right.
All right. However, somebody had to say it.
Yeah.
A lot of the criticism that came at the secret footballer from in the industry was, you don't go against the inner sanctum, you don't do this, you don't blah, 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 blah. And I was like, have you seen the inner sanctum lately?
Well, there's mental
Why
health
wouldn't
stuff.
you go against that? Why wouldn't you want to expose that? And the thing is, from a lot of, and not mentioning any names again, but a lot of the criticism came from people who now have huge podcasts who only talk about that kind of stuff.
Really?
All about the changing rooms, all of those stories. It's the same stories over and over again. And so it kicked the door open a little bit, maybe wedged it open a little bit. And I just felt I needed to do it because I had, like you say, had that itch to scratch, and I wanted to be a writer.
Right.
And this was something that I knew how to write.
Yeah.
I didn't really know what it would look like in the end.
Yeah.
It wasn't a financial thing. Because that gets leveled at me.
Right.
sell out and all this
Yeah,
stuff.
have you not earned enough money and all this kind of stuff?
Right.
Yeah.
The truth is, what they paid me for the first book was what I earned a week at Stoke.
Right.
So it was just like having a 53rd week in the year.
Yeah.
Right. Now, great money, but not the reason.
Yeah.
Not
Of
the
course.
reason.
Yeah.
It was just to hold a mirror up to football. And once I did it, and I was always amazed at how well it was received.
Yeah.
I mean, people were genuinely, wow, like
You've
what is
got
going
that
on?
like, who is it?
Yeah,
you
and then that bit came.
Yeah.
Because when we were speaking about it at The Guardian, and they always used to say this to me, it's got to be your voice.
Yeah.
You've got to write every single word, and it has to stand up as a piece of work first. But just know you're going to get this people dissecting it.
Yeah.
Right. And what you're saying about the industry. And very quickly, you're going to get the who is it.
Yeah.
And the who is it's going to be bad.
And you did.
Yeah.
So, because I went in the research that I was putting together over the weekend, because I knew I was chatting to you today, I was having a little look at YouTube and typing a few things in and stuff like that. And there's a load of YouTube things on there, which is it Dave Kitson?
Yeah.
And so there's like paragraphs that you've written in the book, which there's one particular one which springs to mind, which is in the book you're talking about how you get clattered by Valencia at Man United, and you felt like you'd been hit by a truck.
Yeah.
And then in the YouTube thing that I'm watching,
Someone found the clip.
somebody's got the clip,
Yeah.
and then they're going, "Is it Dave Kitson?"
Yeah. But you see, I never minded that because I knew that years later, people forget it now. I mean, I know you just brought it up, but people at that time won't remember that.
Yeah,
But for me, well, there's your validation.
yeah.
I told you this, and there it is.
Yeah.
So, and there's loads of stuff like that. I told you this, and there it is.
Yeah.
Now, that's not me being a smart ass, but you do need to be able to say at the back end,
I did say it.
did say.
Yeah.
I did say.
Can we go into that then? So you've obviously started this Guardian piece. You're exposing mental health issues, racism, bullying, etc. You talk me through the weekend of the Gary Speed scenario. So when you've written a piece around mental health and how you've mentioned it a few minutes ago, how this is all going to blow up at some point.
Yeah.
And then the Gary Speed situation happened. What was take me into your eyes? What did this look like from your point of view?
I mean, I wasn't the only one who saw this coming.
Right.
It was just that I decided to say something.
Yeah.
If you spoke about mental health back, and it's the same, I don't care what people say. Clubs are much better at it now.
Right.
There are people in-house you can go to. But it's going to take us a while to get out of the mindset of that player's mentally not doing very well, probably won't play him.
Right.
It's going to take a while to get out of that.
That's the thing.
Yeah. It's going to take a while to get out of that,
Right.
for sure, that mindset. Got much better at it very quickly, but we're still there or there. We're still there.
Yeah.
Okay, we're not out of the woods yet. Back then, if you said that, you didn't play.
Gotcha.
You just didn't.
Yeah.
No one said anything. And so, and of course you have that macho culture as well, that.
I'm fine.
Yeah.
I'm all right.
Yeah. And at worse as well, I'm not even going to ask you.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what to say.
I'm scared.
Yeah. I don't know what you're going to say. If you suddenly turn around, actually, Dave, I'm not doing well, I'm be like,
Yeah.
there's a panic
Yeah.
inside. Like,
Yeah.
well, what are you telling me for? I don't know what to do with this.
Got another pint.
Yeah, I don't know what to do. Now, thankfully, we're so much better and there's a lot more help, that kind of stuff. And I will go to a lot of my mates, say, mate, you doing all right? Like, you can, and people will do it to me as well.
Yeah.
So that's great. That's great. Back then, none of that existed.
Right.
And you could see the people that it was affecting. I mean, you could see it. You
Yeah.
could see it in their performances, their demeanor,
Yeah.
where they carried themselves, and when they got into trouble, because that was how it released itself.
Yeah, of course.
And you didn't have to be an expert. It was everywhere. It was everywhere. So it needed saying. So I and we thought long and hard about this. I mean, now it seems ridiculous, but I was saying I want to write this piece because I was suffering as well. I was suffering with depression. I was on medication for it.
Right.
It still am, and it works for me. It works for me.
Right.
And I was like, I want to tell people that there's help.
Yeah.
Because I've gone and got help. I do these CBT courses. They get my brain right. I've got this medication and I'm a different person.
Right.
And I want to tell people about that. But I also want to explain how I got to this point in the first place and all the other people that I see. So I pitched them this idea for a column and they were like, look, if you want to do it, we'll back you all the way.
Right.
Make a big deal out of it. And they did. So I produced this column on the Friday. And even then when I went to press send, I was like, if it gets out that this is me, I will never play again. And not because I'm the secret footballer, but because I've said I'm depressed.
You've called it out, yeah.
That was out. That was how stupid things were back then. So it went out on the Friday. I submitted it on the Friday. Guardian published it on the Saturday morning.
Yeah.
It went haywire.
Went bananas.
It went everywhere.
Right.
No, there hadn't been a footballer who had ever talked about this stuff. It went viral, as they say now. So submitted it Friday, went out on Saturday. They found Gary Speed dead on Sunday.
Shit. Yeah.
And in that column on the Saturday, it basically made a prediction that it's only a matter of time before somebody kills themselves. And literally the day after it happened. And my phone, when I woke up on Sunday morning, the phone had gone haywire. And I thought,
you thought you'd been outed?
I thought I'd been outed.
Yeah.
Selfish mindset. Thought I'd been outed. Put the telly on, put the telly on, put the telly on. Put the telly on, there it is.
Yeah.
Right? Horrendous. Absolutely horrendous. And the I feel guilty talking about my guilt because there's a family without a father.
Yeah, of course.
Right.
Yeah.
And an industry without a great guy.
Yeah.
But the guilt that I felt, why didn't I write that sooner? Maybe that I could have stopped that.
Yeah.
Maybe. Then I got super angry at the PFA. And that's where my hatred of the PFA came from. Whereas, why haven't you stopped this? How has this happened on your watch?
Yeah.
So that's this domino effect. And then that was the time that column went from being fun to write to dark.
This could
overnight.
This could be this is the rabbit hole, if you like.
Yeah.
Understood.
Because you knew it was real. So and it was what it did for the secret footballer is it gave it immediate credibility in the worst way possible. It was, he's been telling us about all this stuff and there it is.
It's happened.
Now I'd much rather it have been like, oh, there's going to be a tactical revolution here, and then it happened.
Or burning your books in the middle of the centre circle, right?
Yeah, anything but other than what happened.
Yeah.
So it gave it validation, it gave it credibility, but God, I'd give anything to
Yeah, of course. Yeah, of course you would. Has it changed? You mentioned the PFA, right?
Yeah.
So you obviously put yourself forward to try and get more heavily involved in some of the decisions that they made, assuming a lot, the 10-point checklist, didn't you, with regards to mental health and here's what we need to do.
Yeah.
Has it changed? What are we now, 15 years on since you retired?
Yeah, well, I mean, it's not being in the game. I mean, I'm in the game, but I'm not in the game. Of course. Right. So for me, the PFA, I never wanted to be the chief executive of the PFA. I just wanted those idiots out.
Yeah.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
I was having to watch them release statements about we're going to up our spend on mental health to £500,000 this year.
Come on.
May as well chuck it in the Pacific. You're miles away.
Yeah.
You are so far off it. It's not funny.
Yeah.
The highest paid union chief in the world. Now look, whatever another man earns for a living, it's none of my business.
Crack on,
right?
yeah.
But there has to be a rhyme and a reason.
Yeah.
There has to be.
Yeah.
Right? It's a not-for-profit, and we're spending peanuts on the things that really matter.
Yeah.
And all of the metrics on your watch have gone in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
Instances of players gambling is up. Instances of racism is up. By any metric that you want to be in decline, it's up.
Yeah.
So clearly,
Something's wrong.
this is not fit for purpose.
Yeah.
So we had to do something. So, and that was the only thing that I could think of to do. Now, in hindsight, it was completely the wrong thing to do.
Yeah.
I should have just been honest and said, look, I just want to get this guy out.
Right.
I don't want to be the chief executive of the PFA. The first thing about it, right?
Yeah.
But I know enough to see that this is wrong.
And it's you're a union, right? You know, you're representing the footballers. So given the fact that you're pretty hot off the press in that particular profession, it would make sense for you to have a say on it.
Exactly. And it's just not something that it's not my strong suit, you know, but I don't mind pointing at it and saying, come on, we have to do something about this. It's not right. So it changed in the end. Has the PFA changed? I mean, Maheta's in there now. I've spoken to him a little bit. He's got some good ideas. But
who knows? Yeah, time will tell. I mean, hopefully, given the fact that you've mentioned a few podcasts and stuff, and previous footballers are talking about some of this stuff now, you know, fingers crossed, it's more normal to discuss it. You know,
I would
it's
hope
more normal to say.
Well, I know so. I know so. You're still going to find people that where, and this is the same as in society, that you can put the things in place to try to help them. And they'll still fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what keeps me up, that there'll be some kind of kid in a changing room somewhere that's not getting the help.
Not getting heard.
Yeah, so I just keep banging the drum.
Let's talk about the transition. So the Future Workplace podcast. What does the future workplace look like? And again, in this instance, I went through a transition from the military to Civvy Street. You've obviously gone from professional athlete. What was that like for you? Was it a smooth ride? Was it, did you look at, I think off the top of my head, like Gary Neville leaves and goes straight into punditry, or Wayne Rooney leaves and goes straight into managing, well, not anymore, but you know what I mean? So it's relatively, you go from one thing to the next, and that's the way it is. You didn't. But what's that transition been like for you?
It's been interesting because I'm so to give a bit of context behind it, right? So I'm the product of two hippie parents. Okay. So we believe in, the isolationist attitude towards the world that we see at the moment coming from the States and that kind of stuff. It scares me. Brexit, it scares me.
Yeah.
There was a time there in the late 90s, early noughties where it looked like the global village might work.
Right.
We're all in it together and we're all better off together. And I still believe that. I've never felt so far away from it, but it's important to still believe that.
Yeah.
And that's how we were brought up, that we can all help each other and we're all in it together.
Yeah.
So the knock-on effect of that is that you can do what you want when you want. Now, it's not quite as simple as that. Of course, you start having your kids,
of course,
you start having
still
responsibilities,
got bills to pay and all the rest of it. Yeah.
Right. But I still try and live by that mantra. So it helps that I wanted to be one thing and then I became a footballer, but I don't feel like a footballer.
Yeah.
I don't feel like part of the football family at all. I've always felt like an outsider, and that's where I like to be.
Right.
That's why I wrote the books.
Yeah.
Because I see it totally differently to a lot of, not everybody, but quite a few other people who have been perhaps institutionalized, and the blinkers are here, so I'm able to take a step back and go, right, okay, let's have a look at this, and that's wrong, and I don't like that, so maybe we can do something better. So that's how I approach everything. It doesn't matter what it is that I'm doing. So, and then I think you need to be lucky enough to be able to say, well, I really like that. I really want to have a go at that.
Yeah.
And when I wrote the books, I thought, that's great. now I'm an author.
Yeah.
What else can I do now? Maybe I'll try doing this. You know, I had a licensing company.
Right.
So because I was always more interested in I've said this numerous times, I was always more interested in building something.
Yes.
I've always been like that. So I didn't really want to be a manager. I didn't want to be I love coaching, but you know, having to coach people like me, that would do my head in.
Just ask Pulis.
Yeah, exactly. And it's worth pointing out, right? I could not, you know, I have my times where I'm not an easy person to get on with.
Yeah.
Might shock people. So, you know, and so I get that. Right?
Yeah,
I understand that. I cannot, and there was certainly a period where I was not easy company to be around as a footballer.
Yeah.
So trying to find these things that you want to, that it requires you to think and build.
Right.
That's what interests me. And you end up saying, that looks interesting. I'll have a little go at that. So there was, I met a fella who owned do you remember the parental advisory explicit content logo that goes on the front?
It goes on the, goes on to all sorts of stuff.
CDs and DVDs.
Yeah.
And they don't have those anymore, but that's what it was used for, right? So he owned that.
What, the trademark?
He owned it, yeah.
Wow.
Right. But wasn't using it.
Interesting.
We just license it for CDs and DVDs and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'd say, well, I think, you know, I think that should be on T-shirts and all sorts.
Yeah.
So I spent about 3 years with this licensing business.
Yeah.
So when it was all over T-shirts and all over hats and this and that, that was my fault. But
Brilliant.
because I came at it from a different point of view. I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
Absolutely no clue whatsoever. Everyone was saying to me, don't do this, don't do that. You've got to start at the top and drip it down. I went straight to the bottom.
No one does know what they're doing, mate.
You've got no idea.
We're winging it all the time.
Do you know what? I had a chat with a friend of mine in football, the director of football, and he said to me, Kits, he said, the more I'm in this game, the more I realise 90% of people in this industry are winging it.
They're totally winging it.
Right. Now, it's probably not 90%.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's the truth.
But there's a lot of people winging.
I left the military, mate, got a job at the biggest company that does what we do in the world, right? And I'm looking at the board and these big figures, and I'm thinking, to have a seat in that room on a Monday morning, they have their board meeting every Monday morning. They talk about this big strategy stuff and all this kind of stuff. I then went and started this company, and I hired some of those people. And in hiring them, when they've been operational in my company, and I've gone, you haven't got a fucking clue what you're talking about. And I'm like, 6 months ago, I was looking up to you as if like,
right. Yeah. It's a really fine one, right? Because you'll always get those people who if you give them that confidence and that trust, they might not necessarily look as if they know what they're doing, but they always seem to find a way to make it work. There's those people. Right? They're the people that are really exciting.
Yeah.
Right. Not institutionalized. They look at things.
That's your framework thing again, isn't it?
Yeah,
do you know what
exactly.
I mean?
Yeah. Here's the framework, and they go, well, I'm going to do it like this. Then you see how much trust you do actually have. You can say it, I've got trust in you, but do you really?
Yeah.
So, all right, go on then. I trust you to go and do that, knowing that they may cock this up.
Yeah.
So over at Maidenhead, my main role is to create this framework for all of our teams.
Yeah.
The way we carry ourselves, our culture, our wider program, what we stand for, what we represent, how we want to play. That's a huge job. It's a huge job. Now, do I know that it's going to work? No.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
But I've spent enough years going around clubs, looking at things, taking things, being a magpie, taking little things and little bits and pieces here to go, right, this is how I think we should do it.
Yeah.
The trust from the club to give that to me it's humbling for a start.
Yeah.
It's humbling, and it's a huge responsibility, and it's really, really exciting.
Yeah, I bet it is.
Really exciting.
Yeah, I bet it is, especially with a new stadium and all this kind of stuff that's going on at the moment.
Honestly, it's so good. Like, you're looking at 700 kids, and then the teams above them and the teams above them, and trying to create this culture where, when I came in, none of the bits were facing each other.
Yeah.
And a football club, it's the first team, right? It is the first team.
Yeah.
That's what we are.
That's what makes the
We're
money.
a football club.
Yeah.
We're a football club. The men's first team, it has, the more successful it is, the more we buy into it.
Yeah.
All right. But we can help you on that journey to success, and you can help us. So, and the way I sort of explain it is everything points to the first team. But if the first team have their backs to us, we're all dead.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Now, thanks to Ryan Peters, the manager who's come in,
Yeah.
that first team is visible, it's engaging. Our kids want to be around them, our performance players, our juniors players. The first team players want to be around them and help them and sign autographs and you can see it. You can see it. You can see the kids coming into the stadium, coming back with their parents and watching and supporting and wearing the shirts and feeling part of something.
Yeah.
That's a cultural thing. It's great when I talk about it, because it's just it's so exciting, and to have that responsibility to try and help create something like that to shift the club to the next level is something I'm really grateful for it.
Hard to maintain though, isn't it? You know, you go to the next level. If you look at, well, one thing springs to mind is the Wrexham story, right? I don't know if you were involved here when Ryan Reynolds came here for the first visit. Didn't
No, that was before I was
years
here,
ago when this was all in the documentary and stuff. But how do you maintain that first team facing you and not facing away from you as you start to see success? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's the age old question, right? You can take. So I coach the women's first team as well.
Yeah.
Right. So I coach the women's first team. The culture that we've created there is, and this is the only way I can really explain it to you. You can't take everyone with you.
Right.
Right. You can't.
Right.
You'd love to.
Yeah.
But you can't. But when we play, our ex-players come back and watch us.
Brilliant. Yeah.
And that means everything to us. And that's the culture that we want to create.
Yeah.
All right. Now we know some of our players will go off and they'll go up, down, sideways, whatever. We can't take everyone with us. We get affected by whether or not Chelsea play at home.
Right.
Brentford play at home.
Right.
All right. That will affect our crowd. But gradually that will change.
Right.
That will change because there'll be a shift in what it costs for you to go down there against what value you get here.
Of course.
And that will be the big shift. You'll go down to Chelsea. Do you identify with anything on the pitch? Or are you just there wearing a Chelsea hat?
Yeah.
Because you think you're a Chelsea fan?
Yeah.
Or do you want to come here with your son or daughter and watch a really competitive game of football and see people on the pitch from the area that you identify, who went to schools that you go to now? All right. That's massive.
I think that's going to be a huge shift. We mentioned it a few times. Like, I'm struggling. I've turned off Liverpool watching on Sky. It must have been a dozen times this year. A, because they're doing really badly anyway, but B, because I'm finding it quite boring.
Yeah.
I took all of our staff here to a Maidenhead match. Loved it.
Yeah.
And I think, I mean, outside of the fact I've got children, my weekends are pretty committed by the kids. I think you're going to see that shift as well.
Yeah, I do you know, when I used to have my coaching business, I do a lot of one-on-ones, and a lot of academy players would come for a bit of extra coaching and whatnot from all different types of clubs. And a lot of the parents would come to me and they always had the same question. They've got a really talented kid here. Everybody wants him. He's got the choice. This was always the one, right?
Yeah.
He's got the choice between Chelsea and Reading. Okay.
Right.
Do you want me to give you the numbers on what will happen if he goes to Chelsea?
Yeah.
Like what statistically is likely to happen?
Yeah.
But not only that. If you go down to Chelsea, what do you see on the pitch? It's the whatever anybody thinks, right?
Yeah.
For the sake of the argument. It's the best players in the world,
or
a collection of what Chelsea thinks are the best players that they can get.
Yeah.
So it's a there's 11 positions and they have the globe to pick from.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right? Go down to Reading. There's a kid on that pitch who goes to Forest School.
Yeah.
Still there doing his exams. He's on the pitch right in front of you.
It's crazy, isn't it?
Right? And he'll probably leave.
Yeah.
You look at Michael Elise.
Yeah. Yeah.
Played for a local team, plays for Reading, goes to Palace, goes to Bayern. There's your pathway there for you, right in front of you.
You don't need to rush.
You know what they do? They all go to Chelsea.
Loan.
They-
It's a loan farm, though, isn't it?
They all go to Chelsea because that badge does something to them.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's crazy. We need to start thinking about rounding it up, but I want to finish on two things. The Future Workplace podcast, young mental health, all of the things we've already touched upon in this conversation. What advice would you give people who are in that institutionalized environment? They might be young, 21, 22, earning a fortune, kind of think that's them forever. There is a transition that's going to happen at some point. What advice would you give?
Get a mentor. 100% get a mentor. If you're lucky enough to afford a mentor, get one.
Yeah.
If you're not, find one.
Yeah.
The clubs get the rap, right? The clubs get the rap. And rightly so in some cases, but you can't be there 24/7.
Yeah.
They are, after all, a business. I'm not defending them, but they are, after all, a business. If you don't do it, they'll get someone who will.
Yeah.
Right? Just mention Chelsea.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Protect yourself. Take a bit of responsibility and try and protect yourself. Get yourself a mentor, somebody in your life you can bounce things off. All right.
Yeah.
Doesn't have to be an agent. Doesn't have to be coach. Just somebody that you trust.
Yeah.
That's what I wish I had. Just
Yeah.
a mentor, someone to talk to. Might even just be a therapist.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, just to keep the brain ticking over and keeping it pliable and all this kind of stuff, and making sure that you're asking the right questions about yourself and
Yeah.
staying, feet on the ground. That would be the best advice. For the others who are not at that level, right? And we see a lot of those kids. We are still living in a world, certainly in football, where we need a cultural shift. So that has to come from us.
Right.
We have to get better at explaining this to the kids, and we try. And I'm in a good position to be able to do it because, as I say, I didn't kick my first ball until my professional ball until I was 21.
Yeah.
We're still in this mindset in football of if you're not ready at 18, you will never be.
You're
ready.
over.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you have to go and get a job.
Yeah.
And if I say, right, at 18 years old, you need to be ready to play against Caicedo. Well, who the hell's ready for that?
Good luck with
How
that
many
one.
18-year-olds do you know who are ready to play against Caicedo? It's total bullshit, right?
Yeah.
So where we are now, I firmly believe that 21, 22, 23 is the new 18.
Yeah.
I totally believe that.
Yeah.
Players are playing for longer.
Yeah.
So don't worry if between 18, 19 and 20, you haven't
You've not made it.
yeah, you've not made it because there's still time. The system that we have at the moment inflicts upon kids that you are trying to make it at Arsenal
Yeah.
and at Chelsea.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
when they don't, and 99% of them don't,
Yeah.
they feel like failures.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then they say, well, if you've had, these guys have had the best coaching in the world
Yeah.
for a number of years. And yet something like 70% of them have fallen out of the game by the age of 21.
Crazy, isn't it?
That should not be the
Yeah,
case.
it's crazy.
It can't be the talent. It has to be that at 18, you're not ready,
Yeah.
but at 21, you might be.
Yeah.
But you've already left the game.
Yeah.
So we need to
We've
get
lost.
better.
Yeah,
Yeah, we
we've lost
have
it.
to bridge that gap. We have to bridge that gap. We have to find a way. But if you don't have an academy and clubs can't afford to keep you between 18 and 21, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And we're losing a lot of talent that we should not be losing.
Yeah.
So we have to think harder about that.
Yeah, that's a sad state of affairs, isn't it? So get a mentor, follow the guidance of the mentor, learn the lessons that somebody else has already failed with.
Yeah. Ask questions of yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, I've made so many bloody mistakes. Then this nonsense that, I have no regrets. I've got a million regrets.
Oh, me too.
I talk to my mates, right? And I watch them in interviews. No regrets. Got no regrets. Had a great career. You sit down for a beer with them.
Fuck, I shouldn't have
wish
done
I
that.
hadn't
I shouldn't have done that. Of course.
You're gonna have
Yeah, of
regrets. It's the
course.
same as laying your thing over the
Yeah,
framework.
yeah.
You'll make a mistake, but you have the trust.
Yeah.
All right. As long as you're learning from it,
Yeah.
you'll kind of be all right.
I mean, And so now you're in a position where you're giving talks to organisations. We spoke a little bit about culture here, haven't we?
Yeah.
What is it that why do organisations contact you? What is it that they want to the wisdom and the mentorship that you're talking about here? What is it that they're asking of you?
Well, it's the bit that I haven't said. So I can talk to you about frameworks and laying but they want to know, okay, how do you do it?
Tell me how you do that.
How do you do it?
Yeah.
And that's the bit I talk about. So I talk about high performance, how to build that frame, what it actually looks like in a corporate setting.
Yeah.
How that would look like. And a lot of the techniques that I use. So we're really lucky because I have a football club where I can test all these.
Of course. Yeah.
So the in a minute technique, which is essentially is a high performing team bonding.
Yeah.
It's unbelievably powerful. It really, really is. But we use other ones as well that are available. Rigar we use, for example, which if you're a boss, if you're a coach, if you're a CEO or whatever, director, whatever you are, the group sessions are vital. The one-on-ones are absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Critical.
Yeah.
The positive reinforcement, making sure people know you have their trust to do their job. It's absolutely critical.
Yeah, I get it. I don't know, there seems to be a theme on this, which is like the framework, but the freedom to act autonomously, but within that framework.
Yeah,
and then providing tools and all that kind of stuff. I'm going to come back to how we can contact you in a minute. I want to finish with a bit of football fan fun, if you're happy with that.
Yeah.
And you've probably done this thousands of times, but as a guy that's never played at any kind of level, this sort of stuff is interesting to me. So very quick kind of fan questions, quick fire stuff. Best player, you've probably done this thousands of times. Best player you've ever played against, and why?
If you're going to hold my feet to the fire, Paul Scholes, but Luka Modric is like that close.
Goodness me, there are two names there, aren't they?
Yeah, but it's interesting because when I played for Reading, I could stand up front.
Yeah.
So I'd be playing against like Rio Ferdinand and Vidic and Terry and these guys, and that was hard enough. When I went to Stoke, because I played in midfield, I had to man mark these guys.
Right.
So I think there was a run where I had to man mark Scholes, Modric, and Xabi Alonso. Not all in the same game.
I saw a picture of you actually. I think you put it on LinkedIn a few weeks ago. Actually, there's a picture of you playing Liverpool.
Yeah,
and I can see Alonso just behind you.
And you see him staring at me like, what a player.
You look like you're through the lines. So I'm going, Alonso, what are you doing? Or might have been Mascherano.
Those guys, they just used to stare at me like, who's this guy? Because they'd never seen anything that looked like me anyway. Yeah. But visually. But
I'm a bit gutted you didn't say Gerrard, mate.
Gerard's amazing. Gerard was genuinely amazing.
Yeah.
He was, but there's just little nuances and things that people do. It goes back to the framework, right? Here's the framework.
Yeah.
But within that framework, you cannot tell Luka Modric not to get the ball, pirouette, do this, and it's because he does, because he's brilliant at it. You have to say, right, go on then, get on with it.
Crack on and do it.
It's Steven Gerrard's a great example of that. The amount of time Steven Gerrard he's known. You'd have the framework, and Benitez and those kinds of guys who there is a rigid framework. The amount of time Steven Gerrard would just go off the reservation and win the game on just go, I've had enough of this. And
FA Cup final. Smashed it in from 30 yards because he was knackered, apparently.
Yeah, it's the goal against Roma in the Champions League. We used to do it every week.
Yeah.
I don't even remember him doing it against us as well at Stoke, where it wasn't going well for him, and he just went, I've had enough of this. And, I long for those players. Where are they? What happened to them?
I do miss those players. I do. I don't know whether it's nostalgia because I was a young lad watching it at that point or not. I'm not too sure. Tell me about. So we spoke when we were at the coffee, didn't we? You had this thing about scoring at every level, right?
Yeah.
So just very quickly share that story with us. So at what was the highest level you played? Was it like you're in Europe, or what's that story about scoring?
Yeah, so I never played European football. You play pre-season. I used to love that. Played pre-season friendlies against Spanish teams and German teams, and I played against River Plate once, and I just tried to score against as many new teams as I could. Cool. So and obviously doing it the way I did it, which was coming out of non-league, League 2, went over the League One, Championship, Premier League, came back down League One. And so I was just trying to score against every team I could. And I think I managed to do, I think I fell a league short. I got 72 out of 92 or something like that.
Jesus.
Which is not bad. But then I wanted to score in every league and every, I mean, everyone probably does this as a striker.
Yeah.
Every league, which I managed to do, and every competition.
That's right, yeah.
So FA Cup, Carabao, LDV, Vans Trophy.
Yeah.
I don't know what that is now. Still going.
No idea.
I remember. Johnston Paints Trophy.
Oh, that's right. It's the lower league one, isn't it?
Yeah. And so I managed to score in all of these domestic cup competitions. But I never played in Europe and I never played for my country. But then I later found out, I was thinking, oh, that's good. That must be quite a unique thing. And then I found out that not only had Robbie Earnshaw done it, but he'd scored a hat-trick at every level and every cup competition.
You've been done, mate. You've been absolutely done. Rob, we want words. Rob Earnshaw. Look, I think that's probably a great place for us to round it up. Great work at the moment that you're doing with Maidenhead, and especially the bigger picture and the culture and the women's team and all that kind of stuff. Huge kudos to you. And you know, as a football fan, and B, having had a coffee with you and spoken to you over these past couple of weeks, I have nothing but respect for you and kind of what you've done and what you're doing now. The work that you're doing with kind of corporate environments. If anyone does want to book you, if anyone does want to hear your story around high performance and culture and stuff like that, how can they get in touch with you?
Yeah, so that they can go on the website, which is just davekitson.me. I'm on LinkedIn. That's the only place social media wise that you'll find me. There's sort of two strands to it. Some people, the high performance stuff, they want me to do that, and the culture stuff. And some people want to talk to me about the secret footballer, and you know, so it's great because it keeps it varied. It keeps it mixed
brilliant.
up. But no, so that's how you can contact me. And I really appreciate you inviting me on.
No, I've loved it.
I still find it mad that people want to talk to me about any of this, to be honest.
But yours is not just a general, like, tell me some football stories. You know, you've got loads of strings to your bow, which I find fascinating with regards to your writing and your articulate and your whys. And it's just a different conversation than just, you know, tell me about that Valencia tackle. What did that feel like?
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Bloody up.
Although it looked like it hurt. Dave, brilliant. Thank you so much. Thanks for coming on.
Cheers.
Great. Hope you enjoyed the podcast, and I certainly enjoyed having that guest on. Now, in order for us to close this podcast out, what I want to do is just highlight to you that we're an AV company. That's pretty clear. But what we do with a lot of our clients is we offer them showroom visits, basically. So we quite often go around a lot of the showrooms that are available to us. We're doing a big LED showroom visit. So if you want to come and see some of the latest LED technology that you can deploy within your meeting room, we're doing a big LED showroom visit over the coming weeks. The date's not fully confirmed yet, but we have put together a wait list. The link to that wait list is in the description below. If you're interested in coming along and seeing the latest LED and what you can deploy within your office space and the art of the possible when it comes to LED, click the link below, join the wait list. When we've got the date confirmed for our showroom visit, we'll then invite you to that showroom. We'll show you what the art of the possible is. For now, hope you enjoyed the podcast. Like, subscribe, click the notification bell so that you see the next one as well.